1400 feet above sea level. It lies empty now, but down the road near Braemar, I spoke to a fresh 81-year-old who lived there from 1912 to 1925, and before that lived in an even lonelier house. Everybody calls you Nell Banner, and yet it was 1912 when you left the Banner.
I still remember that. The natives of Braemar does, you know.
And there's somebody even calls you...
Nell Banner to the dairy.
That's right. How did you do for food? How did your father and mother feed the family and so on?
Well,
the roads were all blocked.
I tell you, we did this huge bags of bowls of flour, oatmeal, and sugar, and then we brown milk, which a few tins, we had to buy tins of milk too, in case the cows didn't have milk. They got body really big. My mother washed, that's her wash house, and she baked in there. She baked scones and oat cakes, and she roasted up the cakes in front of the low fire, and you see oat cakes. That's how it was done.
You once told me that how green the vine up was compared to how dark the dairy was.
As you go up even through Glentilth, as you go down Glentilth, all the hills are green, they're even Benaglow.
And yet, when you were staying up at the Louis, I know you climbed Ben Macdourie no fewer than 22 times.
Yes, I did.
How did that come about?
Well, people, I was not professional again, but people stay in the hotel, I did drive up and tell them if you'd like to go to Ben Macdourie. I said, well, I'll take you. I'll tell you, once I was on top of Ben Macdourie, and it was just getting on lovely as it came, but down came the mist, as thick as you couldn't see a hand in your finger. And so I went right away to Ben Macdourie, that was up Courage, up the strong rear. I never lost an animal, took him home safely. No mountain rescue. Of course, I was always told never to go in if it was Alessandra, steer clear of it. Which is a very good, you see, nowadays some of them they don't know what next year. It can be very dangerous.
Do you feel that something sad has passed with the abandonment of all these glens?
Oh, definitely. Because the people come it's been brought up in the town. Well, you couldn't expect them to go up to Louisville or the Bannerwood, you know. Same with me, if I get left the town, I'll be down the chute proper.
Do you still walk at the 81?
Yes. People said to me in the village, did you walk? Well, I said, what could I do if nobody comes to take me down?
That would do stood you in good stead.
Well, I couldn't tackle there and do there anyway. I just have to sit at the bottom and look up.
Braemar is 1,200 feet above sea level and just over 58 miles from Aberdeen. In 1774, Thomas Pennant described the houses as shocking to humanity. Houses of loose stones with clawed roofs looking like molehills. People sharing one room dwelling with hens, ridges of arable land amongst heaps of stones and bogs and heather. Well, it's a bright place, popular with tourists today, but when the Jacobite men of Mar came down here to raise the standard for King James VIII, it would be very much as Thomas Pennant described it. On the bright blue standard, steamers carried the mottos, "No Union, for our king and oppressed country, for our lives and liberties." The monument, in fact, is down opposite the Invercalled Arms, which commemorates where the standard was raised. And when it was raised, its ornamental gold top fell off, and superstitious clansmen are said to have felt a sense of foreboding. And with good reason, because their only battle was fought on the 13th of November at Sheriff Muir near Stirling, when Argyll for German Geordie with 4,000 seasoned troops forced the Jacobite army to retreat. The 1745 rising was much more successful. They never lost a battle until Culloden, despite a Highland army of only 6,000. I love the story of the oldest rebel. This is the old cemetery of Braemar. I was told it contained a very interesting tombstone near the mausoleum. This must be it. To Peter Grant. Now, Peter Grant was the oldest survivor of Culloden, aged 107. And it happened that George IV paid the first visit to Scotland by a reigning monarch for 150 years. And he was told the story of this man. It's an amazing story, because this Jacobite was captured. He'd been planked in Carlisle jail, probably to be executed. And that the man climbed the castle walls in the dark and walked home to Deeside. There he married a girl of 16, had 6 of a family, and at the age of 107, he was told that the king had granted him a pension for life as the oldest subject, £52 a year. The king said, pay it immediately in case he doesn't live long enough to get it. Well, he lived for 3 years, died at the age of 110, and his oldest friend played the bagpipes at the funeral. And the tune he played, the man was aged 90. Forward in effect for Charlie's right. There were 300 mourners, and I believe the whisky flowed like water. Braemar Castle was a ruin in the time of the 45. It was rebuilt by army engineers to house a garrison of troops to keep the peace, and remained in occupation until 1831, only 17 years before Queen Victoria selected Balmoral as her Scottish home. A former Jacobite stronghold, it was then a sporting estate. I followed the windings of the Dee until I found the man I was looking for. Colin McIntosh, who used to be a deer stalker, but in semi-retirement acted as a fishing gilly at Inver Call.
Oh, hello, Tom.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine. How are you? How's the fishing?
Oh, it's not good at all. Oh, no. What a fool, you see. There's been no snow this winter and it's came gone for the high hills. And the result is, it's only the wells and the springs that are keeping it up. You're not keeping it at this level.
So the weather's too good.
Oh, it's too good for the fishermen, but nice for the tourist.
Well, I'll tell you what I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, yes.
The Wheelwright Friendly Society.
Oh, yes, aye.
Your father was the president of the later society, I know.
Yes, you won many others, yes.
Aye, tell me how that came about.
Well, it was a time of hardship way back in the early 1800s. This wheelwrights were the men who made the wheels for the carts. And they formed a society to provide for the widows, orphans, old people and that. And the main staple diet that they had, of course, was oatmeal, you know. And if the people didn't get a good harvest, it's like they starved. And the Friendly Society used to send horsemen with the various parts to buy oatmeal as cheap as they could get it, so that they could supply it to their own members of the society. You know, just to keep them doing.
And then it changed to something else after Queen Victoria's time.
Well, in the 1830s, they had a meeting and they decided that they would reconstitute it as the Braemar Island Society. And they all had the whatever kilt and assemble it one day to have their annual sport, and you know, one day in the year. And that was when it happened in the 1830s.
It was Queen Victoria who allowed the word royal to be added to the title, whose original aims included the preservation of the Gaelic language. But alas, there are no native speakers of the Deeside Gaelic left in Braemar today. The benevolent function for those in need continues, but the main accent is in the preservation of the kilt, the bagpipe tradition, and Highland sports of the kind which the great Donald Dinnie made famous. Dinnie was the local man who made good at Highland games everywhere. He threw the hammer, he was a dancer, runner, jumper, and he collected something like £26,000 in prize money in his active years as a Highland sportsman. The charm of the Braemar Games is that the stadium is so small and intimate. Sermons and stones. I was thinking of the departed, of the people who had lived here and been forced to leave in 1726, and of those who came later and tried to resettle, only to be defeated by the impossible conditions. So they gave up, and the Glen lay deserted again after 1840. Britain ruled the waves, the French wars were over, the Highlands had been pacified, but there was a new use for this land: sport. Mar estate extended over 250,000 acres, and these were utopian years, ending in 1912, the very year when Nell's father moved from the Bannock to Glen Louis. But there was plenty of signs that the money had run out the time I first walked these glens in the 1930s. The estates had been broken up. There is more emphasis now on making them pay their way by multi-purpose use through farming, forestry and sport. Mar Lodge, completed in 1898, is now a hotel owned by a Swiss consortium. Robbie Mitchell explained how this much smaller estate on the north side of the Dee is run.
We've planted upwards of 1,000 acres over the last 14 years, and those 1,000 acres, I would say, are split into blocks of roughly 30-40 acres, so that we're not preventing the deer's access to the lower grazings. Practically everything on the estate revolves around the sporting aspect of it. But we're going to shoot a minimum of, say, 3 stags, live in the hotel, Land Rovers, gillies, stalkers laid on, it would cost in the region of £1,000.
You know, you got nice color skin. What color would you say that is?
My color.
The Osage. They have the worst land possible.
Men don't really feel the need to get married and ruin their peaceful single life when they may do so easily and without any restrictions. So, as a result of everything, women are worried. As they watch men give up on the dating and marriage games, they are left feeling powerless. But have you ever questioned why divorce rates are always rising in different parts of the world? It certainly seems that way, don't you think? Interestingly, divorce rates in the West have once again reduced on a statistical basis. The divorce rate is still not at an all-time low or even at extremely low levels, despite what the general public may believe. This statistic, however, has a twist. Due to a considerable decline in marriage rates, divorce rates are on the decline. Women are growing more fearful. Girls experience a sense of helplessness as they see men give up the dating and marriage game. Why then does everything benefit men? Because it shows that men are becoming more and more conscious of the risks associated with marriage. Men going their own way are increasing in number. More and more men are making the decision not to commit to long-term relationships with women. They realize being married won't provide them with them, so they decide against it. You could be thinking how great it is that divorce rates in the U.S. have reached a 50-year low. Someone like myself could have a chance to fall in love, get married, and have a successful union. Only 14.9 out of 1,000 marriages last year ended in divorce. It may not seem like a very high figure at first, but if you calculate the percentage of all marriages that end in divorce, it comes out to be close to 50%. In 2019, the marriage rate in the United States fell, or just hit a record low. According to reports, it has recently been falling swiftly, and just hit a record low in 2019. I just read an article that discussed the decision made by thousands of guys not to get married. It was written by a woman, and she gave her thoughts on why this trend would disturb women everywhere. According to the publications, the idea that marriage rates were falling was scary. Imagine spending years with a man, living with him, and giving the relationship your all without ever having to ask him to propose. There wouldn't be a wedding, no bridesmaid dresses, and no lavish gathering of loved ones. What about the idea of having kids without being married? Thus, the author gives the impression that this is happening now, or has already happened. I'm going to read an interview from a different piece where they kind of think that women are contacting them secondhand because they want to make the most of their fun years. There are two angles of consideration here. The first, secondhand because she has dated other men and is in the used market. But let's face it, the majority of people who marry are married or have long-term relationships typically fail. You never show up thrilled and looking new, proclaiming, "Hey, I've never been with anyone else." As a consequence, I'm ready for your initial use. Let's be real here. That just does not occur anymore. The common response from the ladies is, "But I never got to experience what it's like to be with other people, and I'd like to figure that out." Let's be honest, then, that is essentially a pipe dream right now. The second market, by which I mean guys, is when they say things like, "Look, when you were cute, and you were young, and you were lively, energetic, and having all these amazing times, that's when I wanted to date you. However, you hung out with the attractive, athletic, and well-liked guys from that time, and ignored who I was. I was working really hard to earn my degree, increase my IQ, start my own company, finish my projects, and secure sponsorship from major organizations in order to have a successful job, a comfortable lifestyle, and self-generational riches. You're attempting to re-enter my life now that I'm independent and proud of what I've accomplished. Men frequently say no in these circumstances. You want me now that I'm at my best. They ask, why were you unconcerned about me when I was at my worst? Simply because I'm having a good time. Thus, the female author of the piece continues. It's fine if you disagree that marriage is vital. The rest of us do. The majority of women want to marry the guy of their dreams. But if millions of men decide against it, many of them won't be able to. This is what is happening right now everywhere throughout the globe, including in America. According to Philip Cohen, a professor of societal sociology at the University of Maryland, women's independence and gender equality have a significant impact on the long-term drop in marriage. This decision is being made by women. It would be interesting to see what would happen if a woman showed up and said, "Hey, I got my degree. I've been in a few relationships, and they didn't work out. But I'm interested, and I'm 23 or 25, or even 26 or 27, and I want to have a long-term relationship and a family, and I've made good decisions in my life. So let's do it." But I can guarantee that men would mostly be okay with this. Women are saying things like, "Hey, 40 is the new 30. I can party, have a good time, and freeze some eggs, and this is a thing." Women are going out later and later purely for fun and casual dating. I'm not the only one noticing this. Then when it's time for family, they say, "Okay, I need to locate a donor or a man. I have to defrost those eggs." Having a family now while I'm only 42, well, a lot of men are saying, "I'm out if we have children, or if you show up for the deal with children already." Or they say, "Look, you want babies now, I'm 40. Or if she's a little younger, the guy is 45, or anything to that effect. He says, "Man, I'll be 65, practically 70 years old by the time the kids are 20. I'm not interested because I wanted to have children when I was younger." So by the time a man is in his 20s or 30s and begins to live and earn money alone, he has long since stopped thinking of himself as a part of a couple. Before you know it, he says, "Hey, this isn't too bad of a bargain. Maybe I don't get to have kids and live with a wife, which is fine, because I'm having such a good time." The article goes on to say that there has also been an increase in men's rights movements like Men Going Their Way, where males in large numbers complain about how unfairly treated they are in relationships and family courts. They're sick and weary of being treated unfairly by laws that discriminate based on gender. Millions of men are deciding to forego marriage altogether as a result. We debate these laws with one another, as well as how society perceives us. We do not absorb this. I don't internalize anything that others or society say about males, patriarchy, or anything else that they could say about me. Men need to speak up about these issues, in my opinion, since that is how laws are created. Otherwise, males will continue to suffer as a result of the laws being unjust to them. The male brain is developing. Men are delaying getting married or, I'm sorry, divorcing. The marriage rate has already fallen to its lowest point in history, and if my forecasts come to pass, it will continue to fall as a result of new laws that take effect and declare males to be bad. So forget about it. We will not participate in marches and parades that include violent retaliation or aggressive behavior. Simply put, we'll say, okay, great, I'll do what I want, and I'll be content on my own. I'll go out on my motorcycle or go jungle hunting with my awesome gang of man-mates. We'll do every effort to live happily and fully enjoy our lives. Let's examine a few of the sociological elements that led to the decline of marriage. The male desire for marriage has never been lower. This is probably the main reason that non-committal intimacy is spreading. They don't need to promise to get married, have children, honor, obey, and cherish each other, among other absurd things you say in marriage vows, only because it's now convenient for many men to utter them. Hey, I can swipe on Tinder and connect with someone someday. On particular websites, anyone may seek a professional lady. Intimacy is the primary trait that men search for in a partner. Everything else is also available to them via other channels. Can they ask a woman for money? No, since in a partnership, the guy is always the one who needs to take care of things. The choice to seek out male companionship is still available to men. Can they search for a friend? I think they can detect that in people and pets alike. So to put it bluntly, and without disrespect, what men want from women is what's hidden. Men don't really feel the need to get married and ruin their peaceful single life when they may do so easily and without any restrictions. So, as a result of everything, women are worried. As they watch men give up on the dating and marriage games, they are left feeling powerless.
To the ones who give it their all, our promise is to give you our all. High quality products and support only at Grainger. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
At Blue Bunny, we test to make sure our mini treats are crunchy and mini. Thor!
So, modern women are saying today that men have created a dating crisis by refusing to date American women. For a country that has lost respect for men as the head of the household, this was the inevitable outcome. Men will go where they are appreciated. You will see a lot of lonely people in the near future. The truth is that American women still have way more options than the average American man. They can go on any dating app and get a ton of matches. The dating crisis is caused by women having delusional standards. A man today has to work many times harder for a woman of much lower quality than compared his father's or grandfather's generation. It makes sense to try and find a foreign woman from Southeast Asia or Latin America. They tend to be higher quality with more realistic standards. You can notice that the Western world has certain things in common if you look closely. Just to be clear, by Western world, I mean the advanced industrialized high-tech societies that can be found in the US, Canada, Europe, the United Kingdom, and maybe Australia and New Zealand. What shares these societies fundamentally with one another? How men and women interact has to do with the deterioration of moral norms. It's because gender roles are shifting that Western males no longer even try to get in touch with and date American women. We may certainly say that Western women don't even have a viable dating pool anymore, and it is their fault to begin with. It's over for them since dating and relationships no longer meet their expectations. When these Western women are in their 20s, they start to believe the narrative of awakened feminism that asserts they are completely independent of men and do not need them in their lives. Some chase the bad males they've been after since high school just to lose interest in them and be left abandoned. They pursue employment, higher education, research, corporate runs, and bad boys. They become aware that their biological clock is going to run out, and that they might not be able to have children beyond this time as they achieve a certain level of accomplishment. When this occurs, they get into a frenzy and begin hunting for the person they've been friend-zoning and tormenting since high school, only to discover that he's moved on, married to a beautiful lady, successful, and raising his children. That is the first shock that American women feel when striking the wall. They then begin using social media sites and dating apps to search for males online. Their fame is diminished from their 20s when they could flaunt their bikini bodies and garner attention everywhere they go. They keep looking, but they can only find young men who are interested in them for one-night stands and for physical gratification. Young men just getting started out in their own lives and stepping into their careers. The second major shock for American women is that after this, they either leave it to chance and carry on with their lives looking for and dating wealthy men who can meet their financial standards, or they turn to social media platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram to spread hate toward men and explain to the world why they are undeserving of them, because they are basically perfect in every way. To give you some background, that is what is happening in the Western world. Let's now discuss, guys. Why do men not even attempt to date, commit to, or be in a relationship with women anymore? In front of us is the solution. Men, you see, just don't get it anymore. They don't see the point of pursuing women just to be rejected by them. Men have borne the burden of providing for women in every manner conceivable for a very long time. They've taken on the duty of approaching women, making the first move, and taking the initiative in every way possible, only for women to play hard to get at every opportunity, use men for their own material gains,